fancy ammunition, the internet show where we get to pick apart this bad boy and find out all the bullshit. Let's get started. Now, you might be wondering, why do this? Why take the time to read through this shitty ass book and figure out what's in it? Well, the main reason being is that through the years, having arguments and discussions with Christians over why I'm in the wrong and I'm going to hell, the only proof they have is in the Bible. And when I ask questions like why there's no talking snakes, why whenever there's no rainbow when it rains, God doesn't flood us all, things like that, and their replies is always, read the Bible, read the Bible, read the Bible, the answers are in there. Well, I've read the Bible, and trust me, the answers aren't in here. So, I've cataloged them, and I'm going to give them to you guys, so the next time you get harassed, instead of trying to prove them wrong through scientific theory and actual proof, you can simply ask them questions from their own goddamn book that they don't have the answers to. So, without further ado, let's start. To start off, no, this is not your standard black-bound, gold-print Bible that everybody associates with, okay? This is what's called a contemporary thought-for-thought translation of the original text, meaning the words aren't exact, okay? There's no more comeths, there's no more goeths, there's no more God saiths. They've done away with all the ifs and broken it down into modern, new terms that my little atheist brain has an easier time understanding. Also, I was given it for free from a church. So, that being said, this is what they're trying to brainwash kids with these days. It's as good a place as any to start. Okay, now, we're starting with Genesis, which is pretty well the beginning. It is the beginning. And for the most part, it's already pretty fucked up. Alright, we'll start here. Our first one, I can dig into her here. Aha! This is my favorite one so far, and it is the first. Alright, Genesis 1.26 to 2:8. God spoke, "Let us make these beings in our own image, make them reflect our nature, so they can be responsible for the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, the animals on the land, the cattle, and yes, the earth itself." I love this part, because some of the biggest companies that are responsible for the biggest natural disasters, or not natural, sorry, human, man-made disasters, the people that destroy and rape our earth on a daily basis are proven Christians and proud Christians. Everything they do within the first paragraph of the Bible destroys everything the book associates it with. And next time Christians harass you outside of a metal club, outside of your favorite bar, outside of a sporting event, outside of your local area cockfight, or wherever you are, tell them that the SUV they drive to church every Sunday kills the world just a little bit more every time and disrespects their God in every way. Okay, number 2. This one's also fairly good. Okay. Genesis 4:17 to 18. Alright. Cain left the presence of God and lived in no man's land, east of Eden. Cain slept with his wife. She conceived his son Enoch, and he built a city and named it after his son Enoch. For those of you who don't know, which is me as well before I started reading this, Cain is Adam and Eve's son. Adam and Eve had 2 children, Cain and Abel. Cain got pissed off at God for choosing Abel over him, and then kills Abel, and then goes home and sleeps with his wife, who there's no explanation for whatsoever. And at this time in the Bible, there are only 3 people currently living, and only one of them is capable of producing young. Eve. His wife's name is never mentioned. Do with that what you will. That just creeps me out a little bit. Ugh. Okay, here's number 3. I also really like this one. Genesis, still, this whole series is going to be Genesis for now until we get through it. Genesis 6.3. Then God said, "I'm not going to breathe life into men and women endlessly. Eventually, they're going to die. From now, they can expect a lifespan of 120 years. Who the hell lives 120 years? I'm not going to make that. My grandpa didn't make that. My grandma's not going to make that. Nowhere in living history is there proof of people living consistently to 120 years. That's never happened. That never will happen. You can incarnate as many people on this planet as you want. You're not going to find that statistic. Now, on to the next one. Genesis 9.2 to 15. Right above 17, so 16 I guess. I don't know how they number this crap. Never looked into it. Anyways. When the rainbow appears in the cloud, I'll see it and remember the eternal covenant between God and every living thing and every last living creature on earth, so as not to flood and wipe out everything as I have done in my rage. Guy needs a fucking rainbow to remind him not to flood the world for 40 days and 40 nights ever again. This is the mental capacity of the goldfish of a god that they've chosen, that he needs to create a system to remind him not to kill everything. This guy isn't a god. This guy isn't the creator. He's a fucking megalomaniac. And you know what? I don't trust him. Especially since now with scientific theory proving that rainbows have nothing to do with God, and it's just the reflection and refraction of light within the water or the mist, or mist is water, so within water, and I can make rainbows in my backyard. So you know what, if you really fear God that much, go outside, turn your hose on, and make a giant rainbow, because you just might be saving us all. If you don't believe in that shit, then remind Christians at how stupid and forgetful their favorite God is. Okay, this one's great. It's a little long, but you've stayed with me this far, so stick through it, because you're going to get some good stuff. Sarai, Abram's wife, hadn't yet produced a child. She had an Egyptian maid named Hagar. Sammy Hagar. That's all I can picture. With boobs. Anyways. Named Hagar. Sarah said to Abram, God has not seen fit to give me a child. Sleep with my maid. Maybe I can get a family from her. Abram agreed to do what Sarai said. If your wife tells you to sleep with your maid, do it, boys. The Bible says you're allowed. So, Sarai, Abram's wife, took her Egyptian maid Hagar and gave her to her husband Abram as a wife. Abram had been living 10 years in Canaan. When this took place, he slept with Hagar and she got pregnant. When Hagar learned she was pregnant, she looked down on her mistress. Sarai told Abram, it's all your fault that I'm suffering this abuse. I put my maid in bed with you, and the minute she knows she's pregnant, she treats me like I'm nothing. May God decide which of us is right. You decide, said Abram. Your maid is your business. Sarai was abusive to Hagar, and Hagar ran away. An angel of God found her beside a spring in the desert. It was the spring on the road to Shur. Sure. He said, Hagar, maid of Sarai, what are you doing here? She said, I'm running away from Sarai, my mistress. The angel of God said, go back to your mistress and put up with the abuse. He continued, I'm going to give you a big family. Children past counting. And you wonder why so many schools have problems with bullying and abuse. People who read this, children reading the Bible, take away from this, that as long as you put up with it and tolerate it, it'll be okay. And it's not. This poor lady has been abused. She's a maid, okay? Back in the day, maids were a step above servants. They got to sleep inside. That was a huge thing. Servants slept outside, or, they made a hut or something. Or they just said, fuck you, come back tomorrow. Whatever. She has no choice but to sleep with her mistress's husband. She gives him to him as a wife. She's moving up in the world. I'm not a maid anymore, I'm a wife. And then the guy throws her away and says, do whatever you want. And then she runs away. She's trying to go. She's trying to get the hell out of there. And then God says, no. Go put up with abuse. This to me is absolutely ridiculous. Okay? I have no more words for this. We're moving on. Alright, everybody. That's all I have for this week. Fortunately, I can only fit so much into one video. I'll try talking faster next time. Or slower. Put in the comments what you want me to do. Anyways, anybody who's wondering, the last clip I think I forgot to mention was Genesis 16.1 to 16.9. It's a bit of a longer read, but it's worth it. Trust me, especially when you get into an argument. Now, closing statements. I do plan on doing these once a week, just as long as I can find the time. And my puppy here doesn't stop interrupting me, okay? Don't forget to hit Facebook, subscribe. All that stuff's down in the bottom. Anyways, I will see you next week. And remember, keep these with you and use them in the fight. Out. Thanks for watching, guys.